Good morning, everyone. This is Kelly Gillespie with Missouri Biotechnology Association with our July MOBIO Breakthrough. We're proud to feature Inotiv and let them know, have them share with you the well-rounded set of offerings that they provide. And many of you are familiar with some of the when we started MOBIO, Seventh Wave Laboratories, there in St. Louis, an offshoot of Pfizer, was one of those very strong preclinical niche providers that continue to grow and be part of the MOBIO fabric. And John Sagarts and Joe have been active and involved with MOBIO for a number of years. They've had some mergers, but their Missouri commitment remains strong, and they're also able to provide a more comprehensive set of offerings throughout the country, still with that strong Missouri presence. We are thrilled to have Joe, the Chief Commercial Officer for the company, be with us today. Joe is a very active member of the Missouri Biotechnology Association's Board of Directors. He's got a strong lineage here in Missouri, both growing up, education, and working, and so we are thrilled to have him. I was thinking about the various purposes of MOBIO Breakthrough, and certainly I want to remind everybody that you can go back through our website and go and review past presentations that you may find you're in need of. So we keep those in a library of archives going back more than a year now. And so if you missed one of those, go take advantage of that. Secondly, the whole purpose of MOBIO is we want more life sciences here in Missouri. And so you all should serve as ambassadors for this company as well, to let them know, to let others know about what the capabilities and features are of the companies and the strengths of people here in the state of Missouri. So really am excited that is being played out over and over again with MOBIO. Michelle, can you give us a quick rundown of some upcoming MOBIO breakthroughs that people ought to toss on their calendar?
Yes, our next breakthrough is going to be August 18th with GRAIL. We're going to be talking about GRAIL's presence in Missouri, and also their leading multi-cancer early detection test that can detect over 50 types of cancers, over 45 which lack recommended screening today. So mark your calendars for that. That will be at 10:30 on August 18th. And then our September breakthrough is going to be with the University of University of Washington, St. Louis.
Washington University in St. Louis.
Washington University, St. Louis, with Dr. Richards, and she will be talking about the new neuroscience development within that college. And then also she's coming from Australia, and we'll be talking a little bit about that and the recruitment process coming to St. Louis. If you want to add anything else on that, Kelly, feel free to. My computer's being a little slow with the dates on that one, but that more will be coming with that soon through our email and LinkedIn. I just have to double check the date.
That's one where we'll let you all decide if you'd rather match up to her and let her present at 3 p.m. in the afternoon in Australia, and us get it at 4 o'clock in the morning, or whether you want her to wake up super early and all of us maybe do a late afternoon presentation. But that's what we're navigating whenever we get a guest from Australia. But that one is really one to double circle on the calendar and keep an eye out. There's some amazing developments going on at Washington University, and she's going to be the person leading that effort for years to come. And so we're thrilled to add her to the Missouri stable. And today we just have we have 42 participants right now, more still coming on, and we had well over 130 register in advance and show interest. So I have a feeling some of those folks will be logging on to the archives and the library and seeing this maybe a little bit later today. But Joe, thank you so much for organizing this presentation, and it's great to have you with us today.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Michelle and Kelly, for helping organize and provide the forum here today. I'm honored to have the opportunity to share our story and provide a little bit of background on our presence in Missouri, especially. Should I start sharing screen now, Kelly?
Please.
Okay.
And if other folks would mute, that'll help keep the distractions and noise and barking dogs to a minimum.
And just a process check, is my audio okay? And is the screen sharing full screen now?
You've got full screen, and audio is great, Joe.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I'm Joe Flynn. I'm with Inotiv. We had a handful of different names up till now, up until the last 18 months or so, but our tagline is where insights lead to answers. We're a laboratory partner for companies discovering and developing new drugs. So today I'm going to talk about how we've really transitioned a series of different companies from being niche standalone providers to being a comprehensive CRO. I give presentations to prospective clients a lot, but this one I've customized quite a lot to really focus on some of our Missouri roots and a little bit of personal background there, as well as business background. I'll review our growth and what we've been doing to provide a broader suite of services and talk about our strategy around that and some of the market dynamics that we've encountered that have enabled a really good growth environment for us in Missouri and elsewhere. And I'll provide an overview of our current capabilities. I've got about 20 slides, 20 or 30 minutes worth. And Kelly, do you typically do Q&A at the end of these?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we should have time for Q&A. I certainly do if we want to.
Great.
So our roots in the Show Me State. My family's been there for generations, mostly in Montgomery County. The picture on the left is my great-grandfather and my namesake, where he lived in Montgomery County from 1882 to 1955, and he's shown there with a couple of mules. Most of you probably know Missouri is still famous for their genetics, especially with mules. And he was a taller man. He was over 6 feet tall. So you can get a sense of how big those two mules of his were. And he farmed with those there. I grew up very near there, and we still have farmland there. I visit there monthly. We'll be heading back down. I spend, oh gosh, probably during the pandemic, nearly half of the year in Missouri during normal times. Probably a quarter of my time is spent in Missouri, either at our site in St. Louis or at a home we have there. But Montgomery County, Missouri is my home, and I went to Mizzou like you, Michelle, and many others of you. I graduated with a degree in biochemistry in 1989. I started working in Columbia, Missouri after school at what was ABC Laboratories, and today I believe it's known as Eurofins. It's also gone through some mergers and acquisitions. Moved to Wisconsin to work for some larger contract research organizations doing pharmaceutical R&D, worked for pharmaceutical product development in the lab and operations. And then I moved to Covance, also in operations as a chemist and laboratory manager. Transitioned to the business development side of things, where I was selling those services and then managing teams that sold those. In the last handful of years I was there, I was the global head of sales and client services for a few different divisions of the company. And I moved to Seventh Wave Laboratories 7 years ago to join John Sagart's and help grow that company. So a little bit about our Missouri background, but more relevant to today's discussion around our business presence in Missouri is some background on Seventh Wave Laboratories. John Sagart's was formerly a member of the board of MOBIO, and he founded Seventh Wave Laboratories in 2003. John is a DVM, as well as holding a PhD and doing some postdoctoral research in pathology. He's a board certified veterinary pathologist, which is a very rigorous academic program. And John worked for Pfizer portfolio companies, so Searle, Pharmacia, Monsanto, et cetera, and was anchored in the St. Louis facility. And when Pfizer acquired them, John left after the seventh wave of biweekly Pfizer layoffs and created Seventh Wave Laboratories. A little bit of a pun or a poke at Pfizer. That story is a little bit famous in our industry, how the name came to be. Began the company in leased space at St. Louis Venture Works West County in Chesterfield, Missouri, where the business operated from 2003 to 2015. Also leased space at St. Louis University in the Department of Comparative Medicine. And I joined the company during that period. We were still in incubator space out in Chesterfield. And the company grew up to about 50 people, and we had outgrown the incubator space, outgrown the business model. We were thriving and didn't really need the incubator environment. And we purchased a laboratory in Maryland Heights, Missouri, well, a warehouse really, excuse me, and built out a laboratory space in it in 2015. And today we are at 100, I think the number is 121 people that work out of that site of scientific and technical staff, providing jobs to the economy there. But more importantly, helping clients discover and develop new drugs. Most of our employees there are residents of Missouri, but we have a handful that commute from the Illinois side of the river. We sold the operating company to BASI and rebranded it as Inotiv. We sold the operating company in 2018, and we sold the real estate company in 2021. And when that was announced, we concurrently announced that we're doing a 20,000 square foot build out to add space to our operation there, to expand and create some new jobs to the environment. Our business model at the founding of the company was to be a thought partner to emerging biopharma clients. These are companies that are discovering new compounds and hoping to take them into human clinical trials and hopefully to the market as drugs that will meet unmet needs. And the services and expertise that we had there were around pharmacology, toxicology, pathology, drug metabolism, and pharmacokinetics. So we provide consulting and expert advice to these companies that were doing these things. These were usually small companies. Often it was just one or two people with a little bit of funding and an idea and a little bit of a drug to evaluate. We also provided laboratory services to these companies where we would do in vivo experiments in rodent and canine to assess the exposure and tolerability of new drug candidates. And our scientific emphasis for our lab services was really centered around toxicology, pathology, bioanalysis, and pharmacokinetics to help clients understand the behavior of their drug candidate and position it to move towards human clinical trials. And then after we would provide laboratory services, we would also often continue to consult for services that we couldn't do at Seventh Wave in St. Louis. We would monitor studies at other bigger CROs that had a more comprehensive offering. One of those was BASI in Indiana. And the goal was really to enable our clients to get their drug into a human being for the first time and satisfy all the regulatory requirements to do that. Since then, the business model has evolved quite a bit. So that's kind of our roots and our background in St. Louis. Over the last 5-7 years, the market that we operate in, where we're selling our services to pharmaceutical companies, there's been a flurry of acquisitions by mega CROs, and the mid-size comprehensive service providers have largely been gobbled up by mega CROs. And so where there used to be companies called Will and MPI and Cytox and Covance and many others, they've been acquired by really, really big companies. And those big companies do a great job and they're excellent service providers to lots and lots of clients, but they're really, really big. They have tens of thousands of employees. They've got scores of sites globally. And where there had been a cadre of smaller service providers kind of in the mid market, there was a void. Concurrent with that, these emerging biopharma clients were receiving and continue to receive record levels of funding. The availability of venture capital, equity funding, partnership deals, licensing deals are operating at record highs. And just one anecdote on that, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, the average Series A funded deal was in North America was around $11 million. And the most recent data I have on the average is about a year old, but a year ago, the average Series A deal was $40 million. So these little clients that were struggling to get $10 million today are getting 4 or 5 times that much at their first real funding event. And it's really just created a very buoyant market for us to operate in. So this is our growth story. I represent this as building blocks, and we're building momentum as we go, starting at the base. The base company that's really provided the vehicle for us to do all of this was BASI. BASI was a 40-year-old company operating out of Indiana that provided GLP toxicology in rodents, canine, swine, non-human primates. They also did regulated GLP bioanalysis, doing method development, method validation, and sample analysis. And BASI was a publicly traded company, underperforming, needed to grow better, was in turnaround mode. And we were collaborating with them at Seventh Wave, and the services were so complementary. The leadership teams filled gaps for each other. We brought the two companies together, and BASI purchased Seventh Wave Laboratories in July of 2018. So now, where previously BASI would have been subcontracting key services like pathology and pharmacokinetics, now we can do those things together and provide broader solutions to clients. And that's worked out really well. The ideal clients that both companies focused on were the same. Most clients were, as I mentioned, these small and emerging biopharma clients, but there was very little overlap. The 200 plus clients that Seventh Wave was touching every year were different than the 200 plus that BASI was touching every year. We only had 17 clients in common. So the market was really big, and it responded really well to that acquisition. Subsequent to that, we looked around and said, okay, what else is missing from our portfolio? What do our clients need that we don't have? And how can we build it organically, or can we acquire it? And we are growing organically. This isn't purely an acquisition story. We're adding onto our existing sites. As I mentioned in St. Louis, the 20,000 square foot addition in St. Louis is underway right now. So we looked around, what else can we do to provide more services to our clients? And Smithers Avanza had a laboratory in Gaithersburg, Maryland, with deep expertise in developmental and reproductive toxicology. You'll hear me abbreviate that or use the acronym DART. That means developmental and reproductive toxicology, DART. They also could do some safety pharmacology work there. And those disciplines are important because before giving a drug to a woman of childbearing potential, you need to assess its reproductive effects and its fertility effects. How will it impact embryonic development? Will it have first or second generation fertility effect? And the lab there was expert at answering those questions. And so the other thing that they could do there that we couldn't do under our other existing companies was a suite of services called safety pharmacology. And the notion there is the regulators require a set of studies to assess 3 key organ systems primarily. Most new drugs have to be evaluated to determine their effect to these 3 systems. The thinking being, if you perturb those 3 systems, any of them, it may not be recoverable in human. And the 3 systems are cardiovascular, respiratory, and central nervous system. And in Gaithersburg, they could do the central nervous system and the respiratory assessments. Could not do the cardiovascular, but they could do 2 of the 3, and that was important. So we acquired that. Market responded very well, and now we're able to sell our services and provide expertise across a broader range of scientific disciplines. The next acquisition was in December of that year when we purchased preclinical research services in Fort Collins, Colorado. And this really got us into kind of a new market where previously we'd been very focused on pharmaceutical R&D. Preclinical research services was focused on medical devices and sometimes drug-containing devices like drug-eluting stents and things like that. But medical devices, so they had great expertise in surgical models. And I'll cover this in a little bit more detail in a subsequent slide, but they had a number of veterinary surgeons, surgical suites, imaging capabilities, and they could also do some more invasive safety assessment type studies to evaluate wound healing and things like that. Since acquiring them, we've added the 3rd safety pharmacology battery that's required, the cardiovascular one. We've brought that up in Fort Collins because there is a surgery required to do that study to implant a telemetry device to export via radio signal ECGs. And so we can do those surgeries to implant those radio telemetry devices in the animals there. And that capability is up and running now. And then the most recent addition to the suite of services was in Boulder, Colorado, where we purchased 2 laboratories at the same time. And those 2 laboratories were Boulder Biopath in Boulder, Colorado, and Histotox Laboratories across the parking lot from Boulder Biopath in Boulder, Colorado. And these were separate and distinct businesses, but they were interrelated in that Boulder Biopath could do in vivo models to evaluate discovery pharmacology, to assess efficacy for drugs for inflammation, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, central nervous system. And then a lot of the histological and pathological evaluations that needed to be done on those in vivo, primarily rodent models, would be done at Histotox Laboratories across the street, where they were good at doing those things and also could do digital pathology and immunohistochemistry. And so they were interrelated. We purchased both of them in April 21 to allow us to provide a broader suite of services to clients that are in the discovery space, looking to evaluate the efficacy or target effect of their drugs. Okay, moving on. So our mission, who we are today, is, now that we built this company, is to deliver exceptional service and products to drive improved decision making, allow accelerated goal attainment, and provide client-centric scientific continuity in an environment where people are valued and can succeed. And that's who we are. High-level overview of who we are today. We're 540 people at 6 sites. I think it's north of 540, actually, a little bit, and growing. We're providing discovery through regulatory enabling studies, and we've got a very comprehensive set of services for a company of our size. Really strong scientific and managerial team. A lot of us have been doing this for a long time and have developed a good reputation and a good set of capabilities from discovery through approval. We're doing in vivo toxicology and pharmacology, drug metabolism, bioanalysis, and pharmacokinetics, surgical models and medical device testing, and pathology and histology to support those things. So that's who we are today. Let me progress. Oh, my screen just changed. Give me 1 second. Does everything still look okay on your end, Kelly? My screen changed for some reason.
It does. It looks
okay.
fine.
We're good. I think I'm back to normal now. Our core values. So these are important to us, and we talk amongst ourselves about these a lot, but we share them with clients too, because as we're hiring new employees, we're evaluating who we are, we're making decisions. We hold these core values up and say, okay, is what we're doing now align with our core values? First and foremost, we strive to provide excellent client services. We are a service provider. We're not developing any drugs or devices of our own. Our goal is to provide services so that other people can do that, develop new drugs and devices. We provide insightful problem solving to do those things, focus on always doing the right thing, remaining humbly confident. We've got a lot of really capable, successful, well-educated people, but maintaining an element of humility while we're delivering excellent client services is important to us. And getting it done, hitting goals, hitting timelines, providing the deliverables the clients are looking for. This is where we're at from west to east. We are located, as I mentioned, in Boulder, Colorado, and Fort Collins, Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri, in Maryland Heights, as well as we still have a presence on the SLU campus in the Department of Comparative Medicine at the med school. Evansville, Indiana, down in southern part of the state, West Lafayette, Indiana, and Gaithersburg, Maryland. And I've got 1 slide for each of these. It talks a little more depth about what we do there. So West Lafayette, Indiana is our corporate headquarters, where we have 75,000 square feet. This is our core lab for regulated bioanalytical chemistry. It was founded by a fellow named Dr. Peter Kissinger. We think that we coined the term bioanalysis by doing this over 40 years ago. Pete's still a professor at Purdue, and he spun this out in the research park for Purdue in West Lafayette 40-ish years ago. We also do our dose formulation analysis here, and we also have an instruments division, which I haven't really talked about much. I'm on the services side of the business, very focused on the services side, and that is the larger part of the company. But the instruments business is important, and it's been around a long time too. The instruments that we make there are called QLEX. They have retained the BASI brand. There was a lot of identity with the BASI brand in that line of instruments, and they're designed to automate dosing of drug and sample collection from laboratory animals, to automate that so that you don't have to handle the animals to dose or collect samples. So those are manufactured in West Lafayette. Evansville, Indiana is, I guess it is our largest site. We've got 52 acres there. It's a campus setting in the rural countryside outside of Evansville. This is our largest non-clinical in vivo services site, where we do most of our GLP regulatory enabling studies. And you can see the table on the bottom left there. The species that we work in go from mice, rats, and rabbits all the way up to non-human primates. And we can hold quite a few of them at that facility to provide research to our clients. Gaithersburg, Maryland, we have 35,000 square feet. This is more of a metropolitan setting in Gaithersburg. Here we're also providing non-clinical in vivo services. As I mentioned earlier, this is where we do the developmental and reproductive, as well as the safety pharmacology studies. This is a regulated laboratory doing GLP regulatory enabling studies. And, you know, I don't have it in the slide deck anywhere, but I should mention that all of our vivarium space is ALAC accredited, which is important, and USDA inspected. So we operate under a high degree of regulatory oversight, and maintaining in their good graces is very important to us. And we've got a very good track record in that regard. The species that we work with in Gaithersburg are summarized on the bottom left there, from, again, you know, rodents, mice, rabbits, rats, up through canines, as well as non-human primates. Fort Collins, Colorado, here in the suburbs of Fort Collins, we have one laboratory, which is 22,000 square feet, and there are growth plans for this facility. The laboratory there is almost a hospital-like setting, where we've got a number of surgical suites. We also have the vivarium where we house animals. Surgeons actually come into this site for training. So a company is developing a new device and they need to train surgeons on how to implant a new heart valve. We'll bring in pigs, and surgeons will do their training at this facility. But then we also do a lot of research on experimental devices. We have a ranch facility outside of town where we've got a 13,000 square foot port and pole barn, and outdoor pens. And out there we house larger animals for research, from goats and sheep, all the way up to you know, horses and cattle, for longer term studies. Doing GLP and non-GLP in vivo work, supporting a wide range of disciplines. We've got a team of trained and board certified veterinary surgeons, and as I mentioned, multiple surgical suites and some really cool imaging capabilities, from basic radiography all the way up to C-arm fluoroscopes at this site. And then Boulder, Colorado, is our newest acquisition. These were the former Histotox and Boulder Biopath. Discovery emphasis, helping us work upstream more to support our clients earlier in the discovery of their drug candidates. Emphasis around osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and CNS models, and some extensive histology and pathology capabilities to support our clients. So in many regards, we are we do have a lot of experience. You know, some of our sites have been around for 30, 40 years. They've all been around for a decade plus, and we're very experienced and expert at what we do. But in other regards, we're a startup, because we're operating under the Inotiv brand as one company for the first time. And so how do we tie it all together? How do we keep it integrated and smooth for our clients? Because our model is to have clients that we're buying, you know, service A at laboratory A, begin to work with service B at laboratory B, and tie those solutions together so that we have a more complete deliverable for them, and make it easier for them to get their work done. So how do we do that? Well, we provide program management. When clients get to the certain threshold and they're doing enough work across enough sites, enough scientific disciplines, we have a few program managers. They're part of my team, and they are responsible for being the glue that holds it all together, so that the timing, logistics, communication, the TLC, and the tender loving care, the TLC that the clients deserve, is provided. We provide the program management at no incremental cost. It actually helps us operate a little more efficiently too. So I think we realize some savings by having a program manager. But the clients benefit from it by having a point of contact, a shepherd that keeps all the different moving parts working together. And that's been very important. This is a growing. We just have a couple of them. One of them actually lives in the Kansas City area. Lyric Boyle lives in the Kansas City area and has worked in the industry for a long time. So our goal again is to provide continuity from discovery through approval. We do now today represent a fully integrated discovery through development solution. Having grown up from a series of niche boutique providers to now being a real viable comprehensive offering that our clients are gravitating to. So this is a summary of our capabilities by site, and you can see, if you coalesce this all to one column, our offering across all of these different rows of scientific disciplines is very complete, and it's really everything a client needs to do to go from discovering a compound to dosing a human for the first time, and then all the non-clinical support to get the drug to market. So that's it. I want to say thank you. First to our employees. They are the fabric of what we represent, and everybody is working very hard to deliver to clients, but also working very hard to help us get integrated and elevate our offerings. I want to say thanks to our clients, collaborators, and investors in Missouri and everywhere. Want to again say thanks to Kelly and Michelle and MOBIO for the opportunity to share what we've got going on, but also the support that they provide to our industry with vendors and with regulators and with legislators. Thank you for that support, and say also thanks to the state of Missouri for providing an environment where we could start out as a spin out of Pfizer and grow up to a company of 120 people with no end in sight. So I'll just conclude with this slide. We are publicly traded. Our growth has been well received by our investors. You can see our stock performance on the top left, and we're doing well. We're winning a business at record levels. But I always want to remind us to maintain that fourth core value, to be humbly confident. Timing has had a significant impact to our success. And I like that old cowboy proverb that timing has a lot to do with the outcome of a rain dance. We've worked really hard, put together a lot of really smart people, but the timing with the market dynamics, the void in the mid-market, the availability of capital to our clients has given us an opportunity to seize, and we're capitalizing on that. So you can reach me with any questions. My email address is down there. I'm active on LinkedIn too. Feel free to connect with me. Ask any questions. You can visit our website at inotivco.com. You can leave questions or ask for a contact there and download some information. Find us, follow us on LinkedIn. I should mention also that there are a lot of career opportunities here. We have open positions, we're growing. And so if you or a friend or a loved one are in the market and want to get into this space, check us out. Reach out to me personally. I'll get you wired in, or you can check us out on LinkedIn or our website. So I'll conclude there and let you take it from there. Should I stop sharing the screen now, Kelly?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And we've got our first question came in from Lawrence Taylor, and he's Lawrence, you want to ask it yourself?
Hi. Hi, this is Larry Taylor. You had described early on that a lot of the independent science providers had been gobbled up by the large CROs. And so can you describe again your position in the market, the advantages of where you are versus what happened to the rest of the industry?
Yeah, so the rest of the industry, I mean, I spent most of my career in the rest of the industry, and they're good guys, and they provide a lot of really valuable services to clients. a lot of the work that goes on at those really big CROs is driven by top 50, top 100 pharma clients. And so it's kind of like for like, you know, really big publicly traded companies, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of companies doing business to business together. Some smaller clients can feel like they get lost at those mega corporations and don't always get the A team. There's that perception. And a lot of these smaller and emerging clients find a company like ours to be a lot more relatable. Our capacity is very small compared to those mega CROs with only 500 people versus, you know, I think LabCorp now, LabCorp owns Covance. I think they've got maybe 60,000 people. So our capacity is rather finite and customizable to what smaller clients want. The other thing I would say is the really big CROs do have a great deal of expertise, a lot of really well-trained and smart people. But often their operating model is to receive a protocol from a big pharma company that also has all of their own thought leadership and subject matter expertise. And they aren't always looking for a lot of advice. They're, you know, the client in those situations is often just looking to get the study done, get the results interpreted and move on. The smaller clients often don't have a well-formed drug development team, and they are looking for some advice. And so our approach is to be more consultative and bring that to the forefront to help with, you know, understand what are your goals, what do you know about the compound now, and help design the approach that will get them to that goal. So it's a little bit of I think a more personal, customizable approach that we can bring.
Just to follow up, have you experienced working with biologicals?
Yeah, roughly. This is a hot area for us. You know, traditional biologics, you know, antibody drug conjugates, protein therapeutics have always been an important part of our pipeline. I guess, you know, something like, you know, probably 20 or 30% of our pipeline is comprised of those sorts of compounds. But more recently, a real hot area has been cell and gene therapy drug candidates that are enabled by, you know, the CRISPR and the zinc finger nuclease technologies that are going on. Some of which informed, you know, vaccine development for the COVID vaccines that are out there. So that we're working with those sorts of drug candidates as well. In fact, one particular area of strength in St. Louis, I'll go just a little bit deeper in St. Louis. One of the things we can do there is work with liver humanized mice. And these are mice that are genetically tweaked to engraft human hepatocytes. So now you can find out how a human liver cell is going to react to a drug candidate. And this is especially important to cell and gene therapy, where often the target organ is going to be the liver. And you want to know, is the liver going to uptake my drug? And is it going to do what it's supposed to do in terms of gene expression? And doing that in mouse hepatocytes or rat or dog is one thing. But now we can actually do it via the expertise we've developed in St. Louis in human hepatocytes that are engrafted into a mouse and find out how is the drug going to behave. So good question. Biological drugs, including cell and gene therapies, are a very important part of our capability.
Do we have any other questions from the floor?
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, we should talk.
Yeah, let me know how to reach you. I'll happy to connect.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Gopala Krishna. I'm part of Inotiv. Excellent presentation, Joe. I'm pretty new to the company, and I'm learning. So, you know, I'm based in Maryland as part of the Gaithersburg site. As Joe mentioned, yes, Inotiv is strategically expanding and creating new services, even though we're working towards, you know, offering other services such as biomarkers, for example, genetic tox, for example. We recently acquired some assets, strategic assets from BioReliance, who have recently discontinued offering genetic tox. And we are ramping up such service within Inotiv, and we're all excited about the opportunities, and we are a global company. Thank you Joe, please add to my comments. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Gopala. Yep. Any other questions?
Joe, I pulled up the Inotiv stock, and just in the last 40 minutes, it has spiked. So your presentation is really going over well.
Yeah, we call that the Joe Flynn effect.
The Joe Flynn effect. Okay.
No, I think once again, timing has a lot to do with the success of a rain dance. I think we might have had an earnings release this morning.
Okay. That, or a lot of local applause for that purchase of the real estate, that commitment to the build out and expansion in Maryland Heights. Good stuff. And, having the diversity to have 6 sites and 500 plus people spread out, all of us underneath the COVID, we don't know what we're going to deal with tomorrow, but being able to have a diversified workforce and other professionals you can lean on and get away from a hot spot is pretty darn helpful.
Yep. Thanks, Kelly.
Last call for questions for Joe. It's been a great presentation. Okay. We will, anybody that needs a connection to anyone, whether it's Joe and Larry or someone else that wants to get Joe's connections or someone else, feel free to reach out to Michelle Lumpkins or myself, Kelly Gillespie at MOBIO. As a reminder, it's kelly@mobio.org is that, that first name at mobio.org will get a hold of the two of us or Lisa Zimmerman. And so again, on August the 18th, we're going to have a MOBIO Breakthrough program with a presentation featured by Grail. And we're going to be talking early cancer detection strategies and techniques, something that in the war on cancer, I believe it's 50 years old this month. Early detection is absolutely a key and something that we want to continue to make some improvements on. September 21st, that's the presentation with Dr. Richards from Washington University in St. Louis, with the focus on neuroscience. And again, WashU has a neuroscience building under construction that has not only innovative features, but it's the largest construction project in university history. And it will be the largest research facility in the country dedicated to neurosciences when completed. So really excited. That'll be very popular and well-received MOBIO Breakthrough. September 21st, 3 p.m. We've made that adjustment for you so you don't have to get up at 4 a.m. to hear it. So we're taking care of our members. And if you'll take care of us by going on LinkedIn and make sure that your professional profile is liking us and participating with us. Increasingly, we're using LinkedIn for communications about our members and our events. So Michelle has informed me that we're setting at 996. And so we're 4 away. And that recent graduate from the School of Journalism at Mizzou is really trying to drive some MOBIO numbers on LinkedIn. So help us out and help her. And you know what? I have noticed on the last chat that James Esler.
Yes.
Question.
Thank you. I actually have 2 questions. The first is a toss-up. It'll be a lob. Can I get one of those tumblers?
Yeah, we give some away every month. we have a drawing. Visit our website and enter the drawing. We actually
Wish
just
I was
announced
more
yesterday.
lucky. I never won those things. The second thing is I'm a pretty large shareholder. So I don't know if you covered this. I'm getting here late. I had a really busy morning, but can you comment on corporate strategy as it relates to selling shares of equity versus raising debt? How do you guys do the trade-off there?
Yeah, I should not. I'm
That's
not
fine.
qualified.
I figured not, but
yeah.
I thought it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, you can ping our investor relations.
Yeah.
Contact Beth, our chief financial officer, and I'm sure they'd be happy to help answer your questions. But I'm out of my depth there, James. Sorry.
I can talk to Bob. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's it. Those were pretty easy, right?
Yeah. Everything I know about that, I've learned from Bob, and I would not be able to repeat it accurately. So Bob's your guy.
Very good answer. That's about as good of an answer as I expected, Joe.
As a consolation prize, James, you're going to be sent a MOBIO COVID-19 mask. It is our fall winter edition. It is very heavy. It absorbs all kinds of contaminants. It's not one of those lightweight summer ones. So,
wow.
James,
can I get Joe to sign it?
I will sign it.
Okay, I'll leave it at Crane's Country Store in Montgomery City for the next time you're in, Joe, and we'll make that transfer happen.
Yep, Williamsburg. But yeah.
Thank
you.
Thanks, James.
Well, everybody, thanks for getting together today. Appreciate all the support, the ongoing inquiries, and got plenty going on. We just need to make this world a little bit smaller and get back to being in person as fast as we can, as much as we can. So thanks so much, and we'll see you around the corner.